Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and man, do I have an episode for you today. This is my fourth podcast episode, and I'm really excited about this one because I did post like fairly recently by my standards, but I just feel like I have so many updates, like finished projects, exciting things going on in my knitting journey basically to share with you. But the very first thing I want to talk about is my first garment pattern is actually up on Ravelry right now. I'm going to insert a picture here. It's called the Great Expectations cardigan. And so basically it's named after the Charles Dickens novel, if you read it, Great Expectations. I just wanted it to be like inspired by classical literature because I really like that book as well. And I worked on that. Actually, I finished it at the end of 2024, so quite a while ago actually, but I'd written the pattern at the beginning of 2025 and just like never really got around to publishing it just because I didn't have social media back then. I didn't have like my knitting page or anything. So now finally I just like finished it up. I got some amazing test knitters, and I got around to finishing it. I still have like half of the Spanish translation done, so I gotta actually have to finish that as well. But right now the English version is up on Ravelry. You can check it out under A Pilot's Daughter Travels. So that is up right now. I have another cardigan that is also an all over cable cardigan that I knit actually right before that one as well. And I don't know what to call it yet. I'm thinking of like maybe going with the same classical theme. I really love The Great Gatsby, so maybe like the Gatsby cardigan. I'll insert a picture right here. So this is a gray cardigan I knit with, it's a Polish version. So like I got the yarn in the Netherlands from this yarn store, like kind of near the Schiphol airport. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I think it's like called like Happy something yarns. And I think that the story was that the guy that started the yarn company used to work for Sandnes Garn, because I actually commented to the yarn store owner lady that it felt and like the weight and stuff was very similar to Sandnes Garn. So I guess that's like the Polish, it's Polish, so it's like I guess an alternative, or like maybe a more budget-friendly alternative to Sandnes Garn. But yeah, so I knit that one as well. I think that it would be easier for me to make the pattern for that one because I followed a lot of the similar techniques that I usually do in my cable knit. So I would probably just have to make like the color work charts and just do some minor adjustments. Maybe some more like pattern specific things, but other than that, I think it shouldn't be like too bad. So the one thing that is a little bit hard about knitting, or sorry, writing the knitting patterns is making the template. I feel like once you have the template, it's a bit easier, but it does take a lot of time. Like at least for the cable one, I spent like probably 24 hours on that pattern just because the chart was a lot of editing and stuff on Stitch Fiddle. And there was a lot of mistakes because it was my first pattern. So I went back and I fix some of those, but I'm so happy I have a template finally now, and I'm so happy that people caught those mistakes because I mean some of them are a little bit embarrassing, but it was something that I came up with like a year ago. So I mean obviously like I didn't have as much experience writing the pattern and all that, but yeah, I'm glad that that is done because right now I'm doing the test knit for my T-Pow dress, which I'm going to insert a picture of here. So I have the English translation done, and I actually, because my test knit group wanted to see if they could make a top version instead of a full dress, and I was like, yeah, like why not? So I quickly drafted the top version as well, and I sent that out to my test knitters, like the dress and the top version. And for that particular pattern, I thought it was a little bit easier to write just because I didn't have to create a chart for it, but still like technique wise that was a little bit difficult for me to come up with as well because it's very different from like with the Mandarin collar and everything. It was kind of different from the stuff I was used to knitting. But I want to also translate that one into Chinese because I have one of my Gigi Cat bonnets is translated into Mandarin, so I have to write the Chinese translation I actually did that one, I think only in simplified, or maybe both simplified and traditional in the same document. I kind of forgot what I did for that because it was a while ago, but I'm probably going to do the simplified and traditional version for the dress and the top while the test knit is going on. I do have some Chinese speakers in my test knit group, so that'd be awesome if they could just like proofread everything for me. I've done actual Chinese translations for some other patterns. I think I mentioned it. Like I did one for Dreamland Knits. I did her Sweet Gift of Love cardigan. That Chinese translation was done by me. So if anybody's ever used that, which I doubt that somebody's watching my video who actually used that, but that would be really insane if they did. Like really awesome. And I also want to say that every time that somebody comments on my Instagram page and says that they found me from YouTube, and actually a lot of my test knitters were like talking about how they watched my YouTube channel or like they found out about the test knit through YouTube, I'm always shocked because in my mind, like my Instagram page and my YouTube channel are like separate audiences, and I don't really post as much on YouTube as I do on Instagram, and so like I don't have as many followers on YouTube as I do on Instagram, so I usually think that most of my traffic comes from Instagram, but the way that I interact with people on YouTube is obviously very different because you're hearing my voice. Like I have long videos on here that are talking about stuff versus on Instagram it's like a video compilation of something or a just like photo post, so you don't really know me personally. But I don't know, I always really love hearing from people on YouTube, especially since usually when people comment, if they comment, it's just like a profile picture, but on Instagram I can kind of see like who is liking my post, who's interacting with it, so there's that layer of anonymity on YouTube. So whenever I see someone, it's like, ooh, it's a mystery solved for me a little bit, which is kind of cool. But I do really like interacting with my YouTube audience. I love reading the comments because they're always, usually people write pretty long comments, and I love the long comments. I love them so much. So yeah, but thank you everyone who found me through YouTube, who like messaged me about it on Instagram. It really always makes my day. It makes me so happy to hear that, or like to hear that I've inspired anybody knitting or starting it like a knitting project that they thought was hard. Keep it up, guys. Like I believe in all of you. You can do amazing things with knitting. Like all it takes is practice and some confidence. My first pieces were not that great, you know, either. But I still have them, still kept going. I think just like confidence is the number one step, and then after that you can do all kinds of crazy things. But yeah, so that dress is in the pipelines right now. I did notice though, and I actually pointed it out to some people because oh my gosh, I have so much to talk about. So I recently, actually just today, I got back from San Francisco on a trip to go visit my friend. Actually, I went and I saw her, and we went to a knitting night, and it was really nice to like just like see other knitters in person because I don't really see people who knit in person that much. Like most of my knitting friends are online or like live very far away from me, and so I was showing them because they were like asking me what I was knitting, and I showed them my dress pattern, and I showed them something that I noticed about this yarn. So this is the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, and I can insert a picture here as well of what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about like the dye lot differences. Well, actually it's the same dye lot, but for some reason there's like a color change, and you can kind of tell when you look at it in certain lighting. You can tell where I broke the yarn or I like joined a new ball because the shade is slightly off, and it's so weird because I bought them all at the same time, all in the same dye lot. Like I made sure I checked the dye lot. But I mean, it's not annoying me like crazy, but it is noticeable in some pictures, and it kind of makes me feel like, oh, I wonder if other people are noticing that too, because since it is just plain stockinette, I feel like it might be noticeable. So yeah. Also, I will say that this yarn is quite unforgiving with like little minor things that you get wrong. So like if you have a stitch that's maybe too loose, or maybe you tied a knot in the back, that stuff is super visible on this yarn. Is it gonna stop me from using it? No. But I will say like that is something to keep in mind if you're thinking of using it. But yeah, they also told me that they could see the color changes as well, so that is super reassuring. But yeah, I mean, I've noticed it also in my Ophelia top that was still with the same dye lot. It was weird. When I did the lace part of it, because I used a different ball, because I just like wanted to start a different ball, I guess. Because I didn't know if I was gonna have enough to finish with the rest of the remainder that I used for the body, if that makes sense, to do like the whole thing without breaking the yarn or having to like make a knot. So I started a new ball and I didn't notice it in the indoor lighting, but the second that I took it outside with me, like to go out, and it went under the sunlight, the lace part of it was like bleach white and the rest of it was like a bone off-white color, and it looked really bad. I'm not gonna lie, like bleach white against bone white does not look good. So I unraveled the whole thing and then I was like taking them out into the sunlight to see which one was like the bleach white and the bone white color to like match it up so it wouldn't look like that, because like obviously I'm gonna be wearing it out in the sun, you know. So I had them match up. Has anybody else had that issue before, or is it just me? Like I don't know if, but it's just weird that it happened twice, you know what I mean? And I love knitting for Olive too. Like this is not me like trying to say anything bad about them, because I obviously keep buying their yarn. Like this is literally my third project in this same exact shade, and probably my fifth project with their pure silk to begin with. So I do think that they're awesome, but yeah, I just I think I probably need to like pay a little bit closer attention next time I buy Knitting for Olive pure silk. But anywho, I'm glad I was able to share that with you. So just like take a closer look if you're buying it, at least in person. But yeah, so I actually bought a ton of this yarn in the pea shoots color, which people are probably tired of seeing me use this color so many times. But in my defense, like I bought 7 balls for my cheapao dress and I thought like I was gonna use all of that yarn, but this yarn lasts forever. Like, I mean, I used 3.5 balls for a full length dress, and I'm not short either. I'm like 170 centimeters, which is like 5'6", 5'7". So like I'm pretty like standard height, I would say. And that, like, I mean, the fact that it lasted that long is insane. So shout out to them for having a lot of yardage. But then so I was left with all this extra, and I also had extra from another project that I did, but it's in a different dye lot. So I'm making it's going to be another cheapao inspired top, but instead of like, it's gonna have the Mandarin collar, right? But then it's gonna go out, and I'll try to like insert a picture here too so you can kind of see what my vision is. It's gonna cut across diagonally like this. And then so I'm gonna add like buttons here, either frog clasp or just like regular buttons. And it's going to look fabulous. I'm hoping like it's gonna be interesting. I'm really excited for that too. I feel like, you know how people say that like they're in a very Chinese time in their life, or they're in a Chinese era? I feel like I'm in my Chinese dynasty right now, because here is another Chinese inspired project that I made. Okay, I'm back because I had to get a charger. But yeah, so this is my Chinese lantern pullover, and so it's called that because it's based off of a festival called Yuan Xiaojie in Chinese, which is just like Chinese Lantern Festival. But basically the reason I called it this is because I felt like the cables kind of looked like a lantern, if you see the vision, right? I know they're technically called honeycomb cables, but I wanted them to have a bit of separation because it reminds me of like the Green Lantern logo a bit. If you know, you know. If you don't, that's also okay. Like if you can just like imagine it looking like a lantern with the circle and like the parts going up and down. It's a stretch, but in my head it made sense. So yeah, and then I have it opening diagonally. So this is a pullover. It's not actually a jacket because it's connected, and also like, okay, so I had a lot of issues with this originally. I'm gonna also insert pictures of me wearing them because I took a lot of cute photos in San Francisco of it for the pattern that I'm making, and just like for a post in general. And I'll show you also the posts or like the pictures that I took before, like the before and after. So originally I had all of this was open pretty much. I mean, the clasps were there, but it was open. And the thing about that is it was really hard to kind of gauge how wide everything would be, because also my body, I mean, bodies are not the same and not like flat down everywhere. So at every point, it was like tugging a different amount. So like at my shoulder here, at the opening, it was pulling a lot. So there was like a big gaping hole, and then like all of a sudden there was like no slit here at the bottom, which I found to be a little bit odd, and it would bother me every time I wore it because I had this expectation of in my mind what it was going to look like. And you'll probably see from the pictures that I'm inserting here. And you can tell me like what you guys think, because I posted a poll about it on Instagram because I wanted to see what people thought of the spacing in between. And I will say, like, I took a 5-6 hour flight, and the whole time I was just I did the I-cord around here, and then I sewed the buttons on, like the clasps on. They're called frog clasps, by the way. Here's a closer look. That took me the whole time, and it's because, one, it was pitch black. I mean, I had my overhead light on, but it was just kind of hard to see, and I didn't have a mirror as well. I just had a measuring tape and like my phone, which didn't really help that much. So I had to take it to the lab a couple of times to just see if it was coming out right. And then it was another thing to figure out about the diagonal frog clasp positioning as well, because you can't just like have it horizontally going. You have to have it kind of have it angled upwards. Just the way it pulls, or something that I kind of figured out by trial and error. But also it was like kind of hard lining everything up, both sides of it and whatnot. So that's why it took so long to get that done. Maybe if I had a mirror and like I wasn't on a plane, it would probably be done faster. But that was the situation. I did it before I even did the sleeves, or I think I did it when I finished one sleeve, but I was just like too excited and I wanted to see how it was turning out. So I just decided to sew the buttons on. Moral of the story, everything was spaced awkwardly. Like the gaping was weird. Not necessarily because I sewed the buttons at uneven intervals. It was more just so like that's the proportions of a body. So what I did was I asked people on Instagram, like, do you like it with the gap or without the gap? And it was honestly pretty 50-50, but towards the end, I think it was leaning towards no gap. But in my head, this was supposed to be like a peekaboo sweater, or just like something that had a bit of spacing in between. And even my mom and some other people I talked to, they're like, what's the whole point of like adding the buttons and doing all that diagonal if you're not gonna have the gap? And I was like, that's true. So I kind of compromised, and I think this was the best possible compromise I could have done for the sweater. Is I actually ended up stitching everywhere that the frog clasp intersect together. That way it's not tugging. There's not just like some weird uneven gap going on. And I also sewed the frog clasps together because they kept popping out because of the tension. So everything is like kind of sewed, but there's still like the gap, as you can see. So when you're wearing it, you can kind of get a little view of the shirt you're wearing underneath. So it kind of adds a little bit of texture, a little bit of dimension to the pattern. And actually I got some compliments just like from strangers about my sweater, which I feel like I don't often really get compliments on sweaters, because usually people like will compliment like a dress or something. But it was really nice. Like people literally, I would have my headphones in and I'd be looking at my phone, and like somebody stopped to like tell me that he liked my sweater, And I was like, that's really nice that you actually stopped, even though I was like clearly like not really paying attention to like compliment me. But thank you to whoever that was. It actually really made me feel special, especially since I was sewing that thing at the airport just before my flight to San Francisco. So all in a good day's work, you know. But yeah, so that's basically how that ended up going. And I did fix the whole, like the shoulder gaping problem. I removed the top one. There used to be 8 buttons. There's only 7 now. Because at the very top, it looked weird. Like it just, you couldn't even see it. And it just like looked like a weird red bump. And then I just like seamed this part together because it was just like open, you know, like it was open like this much. And everything else was like open like this much. So yeah, I still am kind of debating the second hole here. I kind of want to like stitch it to close because it's a little bit more open than the other ones, but I don't really know. But I'm so excited. I'm writing this pattern right now, and I've never been more motivated before to write knitting patterns. And honestly, I was not expecting to get more than like 5 test knitters for this dress pattern that I posted. And I got so many people in less than 12 hours that I had to close it because I honestly felt bad if anybody signed up and I didn't pick them, which I know is like not what a lot of designers do. Like they just go based off of the size, but I know it's like just my second test knit, but I wanted everyone to participate, so I just like pretty much chose everybody that I was able to message through on Instagram or like got back to my email about it. And I'm really excited to have everyone participating in it. Like I have some people that I knew before and people that I've just now am meeting, and wow, like these people are really cool too and giving me amazing feedback. So thank you so much to everybody who's testing this pattern. I really can't wait. Everybody seems so enthusiastic. Like I'm so happy. But yeah, I'm so motivated. Like I have a lot of other work going on right now too, just other tasks I need to get done that are probably more pressing than releasing a knitting pattern, you know. Well, they're definitely more pressing than releasing the knitting pattern, but for some reason, like that is just what I want to do. Like I just want to work on the patterns, even though it is a lot of work. It feels really rewarding to just have my pattern on Ravelry where I can just look at the projects that I've made. And like I said, it is going to be a bit of a slower knitting year for me just because with creating my own designs, it does take a little bit more time because there's a lot of unraveling to it as well, and just like taking notes and writing the pattern down. So my focus is kind of split between that instead of just knitting patterns that already are established. But that being said, there are some patterns that I want to do. Like I want to do the Mew top. That's really gorgeous. It's a really gorgeous pattern, but I don't really have yarn at the moment for that. I'm trying to think of what I would use for it. I don't have anything with me right now. I only have this, and I got actually some free yarn, like 2 of the same ball and 2 other balls. I don't know what type of yarn they are, from the knitting night as well, but I don't know what I'm gonna make with those. I just took them because I'm out of town right now, obviously, and like in case there's like some situation and I run out of yarn, which I probably will. It's called emergency yarn, so I'll think of something, even if it's something really small. I was thinking of making like an accessory, maybe a tiny bag or like a teddy bear with it. But yeah, it's the 2 that I kept with me are, I kind of think like they're Aran or bulky weight brown, some sort of natural fiber, which is nice. But yeah, don't really know what I'm gonna do with that, but we shall figure it out. I brought like all my knitting needles with me too, just because I don't really know what I'm gonna knit on this trip. I just know that this top is going to be made, and I tried to go button shopping for it, but none of the buttons really spoke to me. Like for the other project I did, which was the Ophelia blouse, which I knit with the same color yarn, I got these really nice buttons in Japan, and unfortunately I don't have any more of those. but it would have been nice to, I wish I got more, so I could just do like the diagonal part with the buttons, just because I think it gives it a really neat look versus the frog clasp. Like I don't know if I want to do the frog clasp for those or not. I haven't decided yet, but yeah. I also, like, the main part of this video, which obviously it's been like actually a really long time and I haven't even talked about what I kind of like thought about to talk about in this episode, which is some knitting life hacks. I don't know that these are, I don't know if like some of them are very useful, but some of the other ones are, they may be obvious, they may not be. They're just like kind of things that I do, and I want to share them with you guys. So wait, did I do an increase here? Oh, the life of a knitter. Did I increase or did I not increase? Anyways, so one of the first ones that I want to share is when I have a project and I think I'm going to run out of yarn, or like I may or may not run out of yarn, I usually knit one sleeve first and just see how much yarn that one sleeve used. I mean, obviously, like if you're knitting something without a sleeve, this is not really applicable. But if I have something with one sleeve, I mean two sleeves, I just will knit the first sleeve, see how much yarn that used. Because you can always like increase or like make the body shorter, make the body longer, add decreases, increases. You can do the collar later. There's a lot of ways to cut corners, but I wouldn't cut corners on the sleeves because if they're not at the length you want, that's gonna annoy you. But with other things on the sweater, there's definitely other ways to save yarn. I mean, for example, I haven't had to do this, but I was definitely contemplating it because I was about to run out of yarn. If you are doing like a folded collar, then perhaps you could do the collar in either a different color, or the part that's folded, you could do it in the other color so no one really see it except for you. Maybe you could do the last two rows in a different color, like the contrast color. I've done that before. It actually looks really good. I would do like 2 or 3 rows in a different color, then cast on with that different color, because casting off takes about like I think 4 times the length of the yarn. And also for Italian bind off, if I do Italian bind off, that thing is staying on there. There's no unraveling to be done on Italian bind off. That doesn't happen because it is insanely time consuming and just not something that I'm up for. So, but yeah, and another thing is when you're traveling with knitting, I always unscrew my knitting needles if I like don't know the rules of a certain country, if you can take them or not, and I put them back into the kit. That way they're just not like hanging out in the bag. And I always try to come with a project prepared, because if you don't have a project prepared, you're just kind of like sitting there and I'm like, oh, what am I gonna knit on the flight? Or doesn't have to be a flight, it could be like any type of travel you're doing. But specifically for flights, I would just take screenshots of the pattern or have it downloaded in like books or PDF. That way you can easily access it, because I've had some cases where, you know, I haven't done that and I didn't have Wi-Fi for a really long time. So yeah, I would try to avoid that situation and do that. And I also always bring a little tin can with me for all of my like miscellaneous supplies. So like I got sewing needles, I got tapestry needles, I got loose thread, buttons, stitch markers, everything is in that tin. And I kid you not, I've had that tin for well over a year now and I have not lost a single thing in that tin, which is actually amazing, because I feel like tapestry needles are one of those things that people always are losing, or like stitch markers, something that they're always using, but everything stays in that tin and it just remains in the tin, and the tin stays in my bag. I also don't travel with scissors because every country has very different rules, and sometimes even if like they don't confiscate it, they'll pull me aside in security and be like, oh, what is this? But yeah, I just like don't travel. I just break the yarn. Some yarns are really hard to break actually, and I've like cut my hand doing that before, but I just don't want my scissors to be taken away. So I spare myself the heartbreak of departing with parting ways with my scissors, because I like my scissors, you know what I mean? Okay, I had to pause the video because I'm running out of battery and the sun's going down and I honestly have to like do some other work right now. But I'll just get to my last couple of points. So another tip that I use is I don't always have like the little T looking thing that twists the needles tight together so they don't unscrew. But what I do have is that tin can. And you know what the tin can has? The tin can has a little, well, it's not like a tin can, a little tin tray. The tin has the sewing needle, which goes into my Chai or whatever needle you have, and you just like twist it. Sometimes, and I probably shouldn't be saying this because I would not follow this advice. If it's like really thin needles, I just like put it in there and I like twist like that, but you did not hear that from me. Okay, another tip I have is I know a lot of people use stitch stoppers. I don't really have those. So instead what I do is I use bigger needles, so I unscrew them and screw the way bigger needle size on because those things are not coming off when you use the bigger needle size. So that's an alternative. You could also like twist the yarn and like tie a little loop. So this is what I do when I don't want my stitches to come off and I'm just like throwing it into a bag. I do one of these. Life hack right there. And then the last thing that I have to share with you guys is for projects that are more sensitive like this, I would honestly just try to knit and stop the round. Like if you have to stop the round, I would stop it at the back because usually that stitch kind of pulls and it's pretty noticeable. So you kind of don't want that to be in the front and showing in an obvious place. So if you have to wrap up your knitting project, try to wrap it up at the back. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching my video and like interacting with my podcast and everything. I always am surprised when people mention stuff that I said towards the end of the video because I'm like, you guys watched that? But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you next time, hopefully, and I'll have more exciting pattern updates. But other than that, see you next time. Bye.